The letter from the university financial aid office felt cold and official in my hands. My daughter's bright future was printed on that page, and it was now a question mark. I read the words insufficient funds and account closed again and again, my heart pounding a frantic rhythm against my ribs. And in that moment the only thought my mind could form was her name, my sister's name, Clara. How could the person who held my hand at our parents' funeral be the one to shatter our world? Clara wasn't just my sister. She was my other half. We were 2 years apart, and from childhood, she was the bold one, the one who would speak up for me, while I was the quiet, practical one who would help her with her homework. We shared secrets, clothes, and dreams in our small bedroom, the one with the fading floral wallpaper. That bond only deepened when we lost our parents in a car accident 10 years ago. I was 25, she was 23. The grief was a heavy blanket we had to learn to live under, and we did it by clinging to each other. We were all the family we had left. As the older sister, I took on the role of the responsible one. I managed the modest inheritance our parents left, making sure the bills were paid and a little was always put aside. Clara was the free spirit. She traveled, started and stopped creative projects, and always seemed to have a new plan. She'd often say, "You're the anchor, Maya, and I'm the sail." I loved being her anchor. When my daughter Chloe was born, Clara was her devoted aunt. She was the fun one, the one who would spoil her with gifts and let her stay up late. I started a college fund for Chloe the day she was born. It was my quiet promise to my daughter, a promise of security that I never had. A few years ago, Clara, who had gotten her real estate license, offered to help manage our finances. "Let me do this for you," she'd said, her eyes sincere. "You've always taken care of everyone. Let me take care of this for you." Felt like a natural step. Felt like trust. The trigger was that thin beige envelope. Chloe's top choice university had accepted her, and we were finalizing the financial aid package. The officer was kind but confused. "The college fund account you listed, the one you've been contributing to for years. Our records show it was closed out 6 months ago." I remember the phone feeling slick in my hand. "That can't be right," I whispered. I logged into the joint online banking portal Clara and I shared for the household bills. I navigated to the savings account labeled Chloe's Future. The balance was 0. The transaction history showed a single large withdrawal 6 months prior. A transfer to an account I didn't recognize. My blood ran cold. I called Clara, my voice trembling. "Clara, Chloe's college fund. It's gone." There was a beat of silence on the other end. Then a soft sigh. "Oh Maya, I meant to tell you. I had to borrow it. Just for a little while. A can't-miss investment opportunity came up. I'm going to triple it. I'll put it all back before she even needs it, with plenty extra." She said it so casually, as if she'd borrowed a cup of sugar, not my daughter's future. The floor beneath me seemed to dissolve. The woman I trusted with everything had gambled it all away without a second thought. I didn't tell Chloe. Not yet. I clung to the desperate hope that Clara would make it right. But the little while stretched into weeks. Every time I asked, her story changed. The deal was taking longer than expected. The paperwork was stalled. Her excuses were like smoke, impossible to hold on to. The first real cost was a quiet one. I sat with Chloe at the kitchen table as she excitedly looked at dorm room decor online. Her joy felt like a physical weight on my chest. I had to gently steer her away from the more expensive universities she loved, suggesting we look at community college options first. The confusion in her eyes was a private agony. Then the small lies started to surface. I ran into an old family friend who mentioned Clara had just returned from a luxury resort in Mexico. She said her new business venture was really paying off, the friend said with a smile. I felt my own smile freeze on my face. That was the same week she told me she couldn't pay back a dime because the deal had temporarily soured. The final crushing blow came when I found a receipt in Clara's jacket pocket for a down payment on a brand new expensive car. It was dated just a week after she had withdrawn the money from Chloe's fund. She hadn't invested it. She had spent it on herself. The betrayal was no longer a financial mistake. It was a deep personal poison. I knew then that hope was a luxury I couldn't afford. While Clara was out, I went into the home office we shared. This time I wasn't looking for an explanation. I was looking for evidence. I found a stack of old mail she had told me was just junk. Buried beneath catalogs was a statement from a separate bank account, one only in her name. My hand shook as I read it. There were deposits from our joint account, labeled vaguely as business expenses. And there were the withdrawals. Not for investments. For designer bags, spa trips, and the first payment on that new car. She hadn't just borrowed the college fund money. She had been quietly siphoning money from our shared household account for months, for a lifestyle she couldn't afford. The power in my heart shifted from hurt to a cold, clear resolve. I was no longer a betrayed sister begging for decency. I was a guardian collecting the pieces of a broken trust. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I made a pot of strong coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and I began to document everything. I printed bank statements, saved text messages, and took pictures of receipts. I reached out to a lawyer, a calm and steady woman named Rebecca who specialized in family financial law. "This is a clear case of misappropriation of funds," Rebecca said, her voice firm but kind. "Especially from a designated educational account you were the primary contributor to. We can pursue legal action." But my goal wasn't to see my sister in jail. My goal was to reclaim what was taken and protect what was left. My plan was not about revenge. It was about restoration. Rebecca helped me understand that the most powerful move was not a dramatic lawsuit, but a quiet, strategic one. We decided to freeze all remaining joint assets and formally demand repayment, with a legally binding repayment plan. I changed all my passwords and opened new private accounts. I was calm. I was composed. I continued to share a home with my sister, the silence between us growing heavier each day. But inside I was a fortress, preparing for a siege she didn't know was coming. The confrontation happened on a Sunday morning. Clara was dressed up, clearly on her way out, car keys for her new vehicle in hand. I stood in the doorway of the kitchen, a single folder in my hands. "Clara, we need to talk," I said, my voice quiet but unwavering. She sighed, annoyed. "Maya, not now. I have a showing." "It can't wait," I said. I placed the folder on the table, opened to the bank statements and the photo of the car receipt. "I know you didn't invest Chloe's college fund. I know you've been taking money from our account for months." Her face went through a rapid series of emotions. Shock, fear, and then a flash of anger. "You went through my things? How dare you?" "I dare because that is my daughter's future," I said, still calm. "You have two choices. The first is that I file a police report for theft and fraud today. The second is that you sign this." I placed the legally binding repayment plan from my lawyer next to the evidence. "You will sell that car. You will get a second job. You will pay back every single penny with interest on this schedule. There is no third option." The fight drained from her eyes, replaced by a stunned realization. The person she had always seen as soft as her anchor had just become an immovable wall. The power had completely shifted. It wasn't a screaming match. It was a quiet, devastating surrender. The legal process was hard, but the repayment plan was enforced. Clara sold the car and moved into a small apartment. The money came back slowly in monthly installments. We don't speak much now. The sisterhood we had is a memory I treasure, but it's not something I can live in anymore. Chloe eventually learned the truth, and it was a difficult lesson for her about trust and family. But she also saw her mother stand up with quiet strength. She started at a good university, and the fund is slowly being restored. This real-life story taught me that the deepest betrayal often comes from a place you never expect. I learned that forgiveness doesn't mean going back to the way things were. It means setting a boundary to protect your own peace. The most dignified revenge is not destruction, but the quiet, unshakable act of rebuilding your own life. Sometimes the strongest love is knowing when to let go. If this emotional story about family and forgiveness resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comments. For more calm, reflective real-life stories, like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.